Welcome to the Construction Disruption Podcast, where we uncover the future of design, building, and remodeling.
I'm Todd Miller of Isaiah Industries, manufacturer of specialty metal roofing and other building materials. Today, my co-host here on Construction Disruption is Ethan Young. Ethan, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Todd. How you doing?
I'm doing well also. So you had experience. Hope it's okay if I share this. You had LASIK surgery. So Mr. Ethan no longer has glasses when he's on the podcast, which is kind of cool. You wore contacts a lot too, though, didn't you?
No, actually, the last time I tried contacts was probably like middle school, and I just didn't like putting things in my eyes. So I've had glasses for a long time.
Okay. Cool. So everything's going well with your surgery, though.
Yeah. It's a bit weird not having glasses. I keep wanting to reach up and like adjust them or like take them off when I go to bed, and they're just not there. So I don't know.
That would take some getting used to, I bet. Interesting. So I have a joke to ask you. One of my dad jokes. Why did the bicycle fall over?
Something about the kickstand? I don't know.
That's a good guess, but wrong. Because it was too tired.
Oh, man.
Tired? Okay.
That's good.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead. Okay, so as a reminder to our audience, we are doing challenge words in this episode where each of us and our guest has accepted a word that we are challenged to try to work into the conversation as seamlessly as possible so the audience members can be listening to figure out what our challenge words are. And at the end of the show, we will discuss our success or lack thereof in using our challenge words. So let's get this thing going here. So as we look at it, I think communication is something that seems to plague everyone in business and really just life in general. And the construction industry is no exception to that, whether it's between coworkers of a contracting firm or maybe a construction company and their clients. Things like, why didn't you tell me that? Or if I'd only have known are frequently said and frequently lamented. So today's guest, actually a repeat guest, is someone who is trying hard to end those communication problems as well as to simplify construction projects by keeping everyone connected and organized through his app, BuilderComs. And that person, our guest today, is Ron Nussbaum. Now, you may remember Ron because he was a guest on the show nearly 2 years ago talking about his app, NuttNest. Today, we're going to learn how that morphed into BuilderComs and also learn a bit about the positive role that BuilderComs is playing for its clients. Ron, welcome back to Construction Disruption. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
It is great to be back, and thank you for having me back. I appreciate it. I love what you guys do, and I'm excited for our conversation today.
Well, we're excited, too, to learn more about some updates and what's going on and how you're meeting folks' needs today. So I know, of course, we talked about the first time you were on the show, you served in the Marines. Thank you again for your service. And you also then worked in construction and home services. So as a result, who better than you to come up with a useful app for contractors? Tell us a little bit about this metamorphosis or this change from NuttNest to BuilderComs and what that means to your clients and all that. I'd like to hear a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So NuttNest is what everybody on here would remember me from. We have morphed into BuilderComs, and how that came about was, I like to say, like you said, I'm a Marine. I was in construction. Like, that's who Ron is. Like, I was in the infantry. I've done everything from running the jackhammer to running the company. And going into software, I tried to get a little too pretty with it. I tried to get a little too Silicon Valley. Like, what's cool? And we're going to revolutionize the construction industry, and we're going to have this really cool name. There's like all this other stuff you see, like, Facebook and all the stuff that just changed how stuff is done.
Mm-hmm.
And about 6-7 months into our launch, I realized, like, that's not Ron. That the construction industry doesn't need that. Like, the construction industry could care less as if we're NuttNest or we're BuilderComs. And it wasn't a fit. It didn't feel right. And to be honest, I really got tired of it, spending the first 5 minutes of every call I was on explaining what NuttNest meant and how it came about. And I felt like we had disalignment with the construction industry. Like, I'm trying to be in this pilot seat, flying this plane. In NuttNest, we had this disalignment. It was like I was the co-pilot of that. And I wasn't able to really steer the plane where I wanted it to go. And I felt it so much in my gut that I almost was getting sick. It's like, we just had such disalignment with what we wanted to be and what I felt the company was. And I wrote out, I just like, this is what the company is. This is what it should be. This is what it looks like. Everything about it. I call it a manifesto, whatever you want to call it, like the BuilderComs, who we are, what we are, why we're that. And I gave it to my CMO and I said, this is the company I'm building. It's not NuttNest. This is the company. This is the brand that we're building. This is what the construction industry needs. This is who I am. Let's put it together and go with it. So we spent a few months, 4 months, completely rebranding everything, completely changing everything. The software, what we build at its core is the same. It's still a super simple piece of software for the construction industry to use, but we got alignment with that. We got alignment with the construction industry, and that brought us into becoming BuilderComs. And it's one of the greatest, you don't like to say like major highlights in your life because you don't know what's to come still. But making that decision was one of the greatest things that I've done on this journey of being a software founder, because that was really a catalyst. We soon after that were awarded a top 20 startup at the International Builders Show. I was on Veteran Shark Tank. And I think that stuff, what did it came under the brand guise of NuttNest, because we had that disalignment. But once I found alignment with the brand and coming to market, and we relaunched this in October of last year, it really was, like I said, this catalyst. People understood it. And when we took the brand live, I probably got over 100 messages from people that I knew that was like, that right there is it. Like, that's the missing link to what you're doing. Like, you just got it right. Not that it's still, I'm in construction software, it's still an uphill battle, but it makes it a lot easier when people go on your website or they hear about you, or even the listeners, when they hear BuilderComs, they probably have a rough understanding of what we do as a company.
Sure, absolutely.
And that goes a long way.
No, I love that explanation. And you're right. BuilderComs, starts to give me a pretty good idea that has something to do with construction and something to do with communication and all that type of stuff. So that's good. Well, what types of construction businesses is BuilderComs designed for?
Yeah, absolutely. And great question. So we are kind of construction agnostic. It's really construction business. So when you think remodelers, roofers, custom home builders, even builders, because we start to create a way to document projects. Whether you're dealing with a customer or not, we need to have documentation on projects. We need to understand what's happening on every project. And BuilderComs gives a simple solution to do that. We are starting to move upstream into the commercial realm of things as well. It's not where I come from, but we're kind of being poured that way because there's not necessarily a good job site communication and management tool, and BuilderComs can fill that void there. So we really fit construction businesses.
Okay. Well, give us an overview of what the app does. What is the functionality for your clients?
Yeah, so we're a communication platform. Like, that is what we came to market as to be really, really good at. We get all your communication in one place. So no more emails, no more text messages, no more digging through your phones, all of that in one place. And then we add in the channels of communication in there. So we make sure the right people are always talking to the right people. Your conversations are organized. And in our transition into becoming BuilderComs, having our users on here is we found out that communication is our backbone of what we do. But we do two other things really, really well. And that's document management and photo sharing and storage. So that right there is BuilderComs. And the best way to think about it is if Slack and Dropbox hooked up on a weekend and had a baby for the construction industry, that would be BuilderComs.
That is just entirely too visual for me. Okay. I like it though. Okay. So how does a client get started with BuilderComs? Is it kind of plug and play? Or is there some sort of integration and extensive training involved? What does that look like for your clients?
Yeah, so we have two different kind of clients at BuilderComs. We have the client that's never used any technology and is looking to get started into technology. That onboarding process is a lot more intensive, as you can imagine, when you're taking people from using a pad and a pen or not even using email, and now you're going to start teaching them to use technology. So we do that very well. We're good hand holders across that. You get to work with me. My wife is our director of customer service. We are here to help you be successful and implement our technology into your everyday business, because that's how it starts to have the impact. Now, our other user is somebody that's coming from other technologies that is looking to simplify what exactly their tech stack looks like, or say they use a big legacy player, but they don't use everything and they just want something simple to organize their communication, their documents, and their pictures. For those users, we're very plug and play, because we're going to be the simplest piece of software that you ever use. What we hear on a daily basis from our customers is, thank you for just building something easy to use. The buttons are where I feel like they should be. And that's from day one has been what I wanted to build. I learned to tell the developer no early on and just said, let's just keep this super simple. Because if it's not, people won't use it. And if people don't use it, they're not going to have the benefits that BuilderComs offers.
I did want to chime in here. So we talked a little bit about like the client experience. What's the homeowner experience like when they interact with BuilderComs? Because I know it's not like a full out like social media platform, but what does it look like for them?
Yeah, so homeowners operate within the BuilderComs app, and it's very simple. You go in there and you can click on each one of your projects. What we found out was like people don't want to do something besides text message or email unless they can do it in the same amount of clicks. So you can open the BuilderComs app and be messaging somebody about your project within 2 clicks. But one of the big differences is you're going to be messaging the right person. So we have those channels of communication. So as a homeowner, when you go in there and you open up that project, you can have multiple projects going on. But when you go into that project, you go into messaging, you're going to see sales, scheduling, project management. You're going to see the channels of where, when you're reaching out and talking to somebody, you're actually talking to the person that can answer your question. So that's one of the big things that we provide for that homeowner, that customer that's having the work done on their house, is that direct, I like to say it's like air traffic control for contractors and homeowners, making sure that the right conversations are happening with the right people.
So I know that when you first go to buildercoms.com, you immediately have a couple of options. You can either try it for free, dive right in, I guess, or you can schedule a demo. What, in your opinion, is the best way for someone to approach that?
Absolutely. So if you're somebody that's familiar using technology, I would dive right in there and set up a time. If you're somebody that's not 100% familiar with using technology, I would set up a time to meet, and we do that one-on-one. You can always start your free trial. We do a 30-day free trial, so you can come on, utilize our software for 30 days, take it for a spin and see what that looks like. But I always recommend, if you're new to technology, like, let's have a conversation, because I want to know what's your needs? What are you looking for technology, and how can I best set you up for success? We built in a pretty extensive YouTube video training. Like that's why I put all of our training videos, because as an industry, like that's where we go if we need help. So I built out a lot of our help videos and everything on how to on YouTube. So we use that as an asset to help guide people through that. But if you're somebody that's familiar with technology, start that free trial, but still book a time or book an onboarding call. So as soon as you sign up, it then gives you an option to book an onboarding where we'll walk you through the onboarding process, help get you set up. So it's not like that demo. It's not like I need to understand how the software works and everything. This is like, let's get you set up, answer questions, walk through all the different use cases. What does this look like if I need to do this or that? And we're always available to do that stuff along the way. I'm very focused on our customers because I used to be our customer and I'm not anymore. So like what I built was here's this solution, but what does BuilderComs continue to evolve and turn into will be dictated by our customers and what that feedback looks like. Because I work in service of the construction industry now. I don't work in construction. So I don't just want to be rolling stuff out there that I think is cool, but no one's even interested in. So we try to keep as open of a line of feedback and conversation with our users as they will let us. And being in construction software, dealing with construction businesses, it's not as much as you would think.
No, I got you. I understand, but I love the fact that, your commitment is to make sure that your clients are going to be successful with it. And, that's what means success for you as well. So that's great. Seems to me where you need to be.
Yeah. My goal is to continue to build the communication platform for the construction industry. And like, as long as I focus on that, we'll continue to win. It's when you get distracted, you see people get distracted by trying to do other things or try to offshoot. And from day one, my focus has been this. It's like, how do we solve this problem in the construction industry? It's been a problem for too long. We don't have any good technologies to do it. So let's fix it and let's focus on that and not get distracted by all the noise. So if you do start using our software and we have a conversation about where you think the platform could go, and you bring up stuff like scheduling or CRM or this, like that's not where the platform's headed. We're doing integrations with the best players in the game for that stuff, because that's just what makes sense. It's like, let's focus on being really good at what we're good at and not muddy the water across the board.
Well, I'm curious, are there any comments you've heard from your clients and users? How is BuilderComs helping them? What are some of their feedback they give you once they get up and running with it?
Yeah. So one of the big things that I have noticed is guys use it in the sales process. I had inherently not thought about it as being a sales tool, but I was wrong. So it's a major differentiator. Guys can say to their customers to begin with is, hey, we understand communication's an issue. Don't worry about it. We have made the investment in BuilderComs. You're going to download this app. All of our communication's going to go through there. And it immediately eases the customer's concerns with that. And then from a contractor perspective, it's the ability to be able to get a hold of your homeowners in a timely fashion. Because now when they're receiving a message on the BuilderComs app, they're getting that notification. They know it has to do with their project. They might want to respond to it faster. It's not like an email hitting the email box or a text message hitting where, people have thousands of unread emails. They might not check their text messages for hours because they're like, oh, it's just a text message. But there's something intuitively that happens when you have a project going on in your house and this communication is specific to that. So we start to save that time. And I think the most powerful thing that happens is the fact that we empower homeowners to have conversations with their builders and contractors prior to the conversation. Because before BuilderComs, a lot of times homeowners would just say, oh, wait till the guys get here, because they're no. That sales rep don't know that. Whoever was out, they're too busy. They won't be able to get back to me. But by having that project management, that general channel, homeowners know if they ask questions in there, they're talking with a production manager, a field superintendent, a foreman, somebody that can actually answer those questions. And a lot of times those questions can delay the job, can change the job, and need to be talked about prior. They don't, because the homeowner's not empowered to reach out because they're afraid they're going to get an answer of, hey, sorry, I don't know. Let me figure out who the person is and get you in touch with them. And then that's where sticky notes are typically made. And we all know where sticky notes go in construction. It's the death of it right there.
Very interesting. Well, I'm curious, as you, and again, you kind of came up in this industry, you're very familiar with construction. As you look at construction, are there any particular challenges you see out there that maybe you hope BuilderComs can help with, even beyond communication? You brought up some great examples there with property owners who, now they know, okay, if it's my BuilderComs, this is important and I've got to respond or check it out. But I'm just kind of curious, are there any other challenges you're seeing out there that you're thinking, gee whiz, someday maybe we can go after that also?
That is a great question. And it's something I have become very passionate about. In doing this process and talking with so many people in the construction industry, there's one plaguing thing within software that everybody agrees around. And that is the fact that nothing talks to anything. And it's so fractured. Construction software is just a fractured. It's either you go out and you get one of these, somebody that offers all kinds of stuff and you only use a small fraction of it, or you get a couple of different pieces and nothing talks to anybody. And what we're building at BuilderComs, we're currently working on building out integrations, because we're going to become the piece of software that connects the industry, that can help bridge the gap and start getting software to talk to software. So when I say I'm not going to build out a scheduling software, it's because I'm going to go partner and integrate with the best out there that does that. So then our customers can utilize them if they want to schedule. Or if their customers want a communication platform, they can utilize BuilderComs and we all talk together. In creating an environment where a picture is a picture, a document is a document, and a conversation is a conversation, that's how BuilderComs is going to link all of the construction industry together with all the different softwares. We're going to become this singleized place where all of this data can move through and either push it to one of the best examples is, say, a very complex piece of software like a Procore that big construction companies are running, but most people don't understand how to operate that software. You can take a BuilderComs integration into Procore and empower everybody on your job site, a simple piece of software to do their communications, to take pictures, to have access to all the documents. Super easy, super simple per project, but all of that data that they then put in there can backfeed into Procore and say the controllers, the executive team, the management team can look at it on their diagrams, but they don't have to worry about what is the data we're actually getting in here. Because now people are using a simpler piece of software that can be utilized anywhere. And I typically say within 10, 15 minutes, anybody can use our software.
As you talk there, it reminds me a little bit of, I think it was Truett Cathy, I believe, was the founder of Chick-fil-A. And, he said, you got to stick to your chicken sandwich. You got to know what that is. And so what your chicken sandwich is, and you're making it work with all the other necessary parts and tools, parts of the picture and tools that your clients are using as well. So it makes every bit of sense.
Yeah. And, I don't look at it as, a lot of people say, oh, it's all this competition and stuff. And what we do is where every piece of software always fell short for me. And it still falls short because it's not a focus. It's a hard thing to do. Communication is hard. And most people don't want to do it. Most software companies would just rather not do it. And I used to just say this, and then I had some conversations with them, and they just straight told me, is like, we offer this service because we get asked for it. It's not something that we want to do. So I know this might be the hardest road to go. But at the end of the day, there's an impact that I want to have, and a reason I set out to do this is like, I want to fix communication in construction. So I got to hold to my guns and not, like I said, get distracted with all this other stuff and not say, hey, these people, we're partners in this because we can do more together than we can do on our own. Like BuilderComs is more powerful having alignment with all this other software, and all the other software is more powerful by having alignment with BuilderComs.
Very good. Very interesting. Well, I know that you also have a podcast, Construction Champions. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing through your show.
Yeah. So Construction Champions podcast that's become a passion project of mine. Because it really is. I love the construction industry. When I got out of the Marine Corps in 2010 and I ended up in residential construction, like, to me, it was one of the best things that happened. I had no plans. I didn't know what I wanted to do. All I knew was the Marine Corps was no longer an option. And I fell in love with working in the construction industry. I fell in love with the people, the processes, everything about it. But what I didn't fall in love with was the mindset and the reputation of the construction industry. And that's what Construction Champions is about. It's about changing that perspective, changing that mindset, and going out and being a champion in every part of your life, not just at your construction business, but with your kids, with your significant other, with your employees, with your family, with everybody around you. Is like, we have to be a champion in every aspect of our life. And that's how we change the mindset around the construction industry. So I release 2 episodes a week, and we talk to anybody in the construction space. Like, and when I say that, like, I bring on health people, I bring on business coach, I bring a gamut of whatever. If you're trying to move the ball in the construction industry, I want to have you on my show because I want those conversations to be out there. And that is how we change the mindset, is we start to get people to realize that the 3% of bad seeds in the construction industry does not need to control the narrative for the entire industry. Like, there's bad doctors and lawyers, but they don't control the narrative for their entire industries. But in construction, for some reason, like, we find that to be okay. It's like, well, it's the construction industry. And I call it BS on that. I believe we can do better. And I believe we are doing better, but we accept that narrative and we let it play out instead of just nipping it in the butt with our customers and just saying, hey, I understand you might have heard this, or your cousin's sister might have had this experience with a builder, but I'm not them. I'm a professional. And I'm here to do this project for you and do it right. I have a family. I have employees that depend on me. And I'm here to do the right thing and do your construction project how it was meant to be done. And you can see I get off track. I get fired up when I start talking about this because, like I said, it truly has become a passion project. Was it something I was going to start? And it wasn't long after I think I was on your guys' show is I had somebody just straight look at me and go, Ron, why don't you have a podcast? Like, you have the network, you have the passion about the construction industry. And I was like, well, I don't like my voice and I'm not interested in that. And they're like, that's not a good enough excuse. Go start a podcast. It wasn't somebody I was going to say no to. So I went and started it, and we've done about 160 episodes at this point in time.
Wow.
And I just keep rocking and rolling.
That's awesome. And releasing 2 shows a week is a pretty ambitious goal as well. So kudos to you. You keep playing your trumpet out there for our industry. You're going to let everyone know that, good enough isn't good enough. We can always be better. So I love it. So what advice do you have for someone who may be new to the construction industry and getting into it? Any sort of overarching advice for them or how they get a career started?
Oh, podcast. The amount of free information out there right now, and it's not even a lot. Like, it's not there's like what you can go learn off a podcast. It blows my mind. The stuff that people come on my podcast and talk about, and it's not just my podcast, podcasts in general. Like, people come and they are an open book of knowledge. And I watch Tommy Malo do it all the time. The dude has a $250 million a year business and he just gives it away. Like, the knowledge is out there. My biggest advice would be an action taker. Like, that's where I won in construction. Is I showed up, I was a Marine, I didn't have any construction experience. And everybody around me had construction management degrees. And I was like, I have to learn fast and I have to take action. So I just dove in. I started learning everything I could about residential construction. Just the fastest learner I could be, and then taking action on it. We can all listen to all of the great podcasts, but if we don't do anything, if we don't take any action, it's not going to matter. So I would say if I was once again starting, because I'm doing this now, I'm reliving it because I'm in software now. So I'm restarting a career in software after being in construction. And all I can do is go absorb all the great knowledge that's out there and then take action on it. Actually do the shit that needs to be done. And that's the same as if you're starting in construction right now. If you're literally day one on your way home and you're listening to this, amazing. Because that's what you need to be doing. You need to be listening to podcasts just like this. The knowledge is out there. But then take some action. Take one thing. I ask everybody at the end of my podcast, always take one thing and do it. Because that's how change starts to happen. So just start doing it. We know what has to happen. We can get free access to all the knowledge. Just take action on it. And then you're going to find yourself in rooms and around knowledge that will blow your mind. Construction is an industry that rewards people that are willing to do the work and take the action. And I don't think that will ever change.
I love that. I know my big word the last couple months has been encouraging people to be curious and to learn things. But you're right. You can't just be curious. You got to do something with it then also. So great advice, Ron. Well, this has been a great time talking together. Really enjoyed it. We're close to wrapping up the end of what we call the business sort of side of things here. Is there anything we haven't covered yet today that you'd like to share with our audience about yourself or BuilderComs?
No, I think we had a really good dive in and talk about how we've gotten to where we are at today.
Great. Well, before we do close out, I want to do something we call our rapid fire questions. So these are 7 questions we'll ask you, which are completely out of the blue. Ron has no idea what we're going to ask. So we're not even going to give you a choice. We're just going to ask you these. And I made sure we are not asking you the same questions we did the first time.
I knew you were going to do that. I almost went back and reviewed the questions and I was like, he's not going to ask the same ones.
Would not have helped you at all.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter. So I did it.
Okay. Well, Ethan, you want to ask the first question?
Yeah, I can start us off. Question 1, have you purchased a product or service recently that was a real game changer for you?
I'm getting ready to do a bunch of webinars and I just purchased a webinar, I became a subscriber of a webinar platform that seems like it's going to really simplify it. I don't know. I haven't done my first one on it yet, but that's the most recent thing that I've become a subscriber to or purchased that I think is going to be really simplify my workflows.
Cool.
Nice. Okay.
What's the name of that platform?
It is Webinar IM.
Webinar IM.
Webinar Jam. My bad. I brought it up in my, I might need the eye surgery. It's Webinar Jam, JAM.
Well, I will check that out because we've been actually talking about such things off and on. So cool. Thank you. Question number 2. Would you rather have the power to be invisible or the power to read people's minds?
I would say the power to read people's minds. And I don't know if I have it. I think like that would be better. I don't necessarily have a reason or a rhyme. I just feel like that would be because you're present. Like if you're invisible and you know what's going on, it's hard to control the situation or control the outcomes. But if you're present and you can read, it's the same thing. By being able to read people's minds, you would be able to control the outcome better.
Good answer.
I feel like it could be a blessing and a curse to be able to read people's minds.
No doubt.
You want to be in big rooms full of a lot of people.
Yeah.
That might be a little overwhelming.
Alrighty. Next one. What's your bucket list vacation?
Ooh, I would say Mediterranean on a private yacht
Sounds great.
for 30 days.
Sounds good. Well, I hope you get there someday. Next question. So I know that you love what you do, and so that really can't be your answer to this question. If you could have any job in the world, though, other than the one you have, which you dearly love, what would that job be?
Oh, man. This will sound crazy, but I was literally just thinking about this earlier is, if somebody came and wrote me a check for BuilderComs today, like what would that look like? And I was like, I could almost go back and work at a construction company for like a year to get my feet wet. And like, cause there's other stuff out there. Like I have such a different perspective and I love the work, like to go and be able to do that same thing, but with the perspective and understanding I have now, I think would be super powerful. And it sounds crazy, but like, yeah, I could go back and be like a foreman on a job site. Like I love the work. I'm not afraid of hard work. And, if you make it not about the money and about what you can actually get done and like figure out, I think I just have such a different view than I did back when I was doing it now.
Yeah.
That I think I would be light years ahead of how good I was before.
Very interesting. Good answer.
So, well, I guess we talked about what you'd be doing working wise if you weren't working at BuilderComs, but what's your favorite thing to do when you're not working on BuilderComs? What's your favorite way to relax?
I spend time with my family. Like we live over by the coast in North Carolina, and yesterday was the 4th of July. We golf carted up to the ice cream shop. I have a 6-year-old son, and like, that's what I love to do. That's, I built this life around being able to spend time with my family because that's the one thing I didn't do when I was in construction. I did that really, really badly. And now I give my family as much as I give my work.
Awesome.
Love that. Good. Next question. If aliens landed tomorrow and they were here to take you to their planet, what earthly possession would you insist that you had to take with you?
I don't know, because they've got better stuff. I would probably just be like, let's rock and roll. And whenever I think I'm going to need, I probably won't, because you guys probably have better things.
I was going to say, it's interesting. We asked this question of someone once, and they had a very practical response. They said, I think I would take my food and water because they may not like the things to eat and drink that I like to eat and drink.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Very true. Alrighty, last question. What's a valuable lesson you've learned from a failure or something that didn't go right?
I think we can go back to rebranding the company. And, it's something I've learned a couple different times in my life when it was either leadership or with having a business is be as true to yourself and who you are as you can be, and you're probably not going to be wrong. That right there is, like I said, from a leadership perspective, from a business perspective, and of course, from a branding perspective, just stay true to who you are and just be that. And like, that's what people want.
I think that's great.
Very good. Well, Ron, thank you again. This has been a pleasure. So for folks who may want to get in touch, perhaps directly with you, or maybe they want to learn more about BuilderComs, tell us some ways they can easily do that.
Yeah, you can find me everywhere and anywhere on social media, Ron Nussbaum. And then BuilderComs, COMS.com is our website. If you want to go on there and check us out, or book a time with me on there as well.
Very good. BuilderComs.com. Excellent. So, guys, did you get your challenge words in?
I absolutely did.
I did, yeah.
You both did? You know, that's weird. I got so focused on mine, I wasn't paying attention to you guys. So, Ron, your word you worked in was?
Co-pilot.
Good job. I'll have to go back and listen to the show to figure out where you worked it in. But
right at the beginning, where I was talking about having, I felt like I was the co-pilot for my own company.
Oh, yeah. Tricky.
Yeah, that was good.
Very good. Ethan, your word was?
Mine was more of a phrase, full out, and I fit it in when I was talking about customer experience with BuilderComs.
I do remember that now. And I had trumpet, which I worked in there near the end. I was getting a little panicked. So.
Yeah.
Good time. Well, thank you very much, Ron. This has been great. Enjoyed having you on the show again. Appreciate it. And all best to you, and keep up the great work.
Awesome. Thank you. And I had a blast. I loved it.
Well, very good. And thank you to our audience for tuning into this very special episode of Construction Disruption with Ron Nussbaum of BuilderComs. Please watch for future episodes of our podcast. We always have great guests. Don't forget to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or a thumbs up for us on YouTube. Until the next time we're together, though, keep on disrupting and challenging those in your world to better ways of doing things. And don't forget to have a positive impact on everyone you encounter. Make them smile and encourage them. Well, God bless and take care. This is Isaiah Industries signing off until the next episode of Construction Disruption.
This podcast is produced by Isaiah Industries, manufacturer of specialty metal roofing and other building products.